Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jorge, and today we're going to be discussing obscenity regulation, um, kind of going over its definition, kind of what it is, as well as what to expect and how it applies to a course like the one that we're taking right now. Now, to be able to understand what obscenity is, we must first kind of know its definition. Now, obscenity per Webster's dictionary is of the portrayal or description of sexual matters offensive or disgusting by accepted standards of morality or decency. Now, with that being said, we can definitely see how this definition is already kind of a little bit of an issue for the fact that everybody has different moral and decency standards. I don't know, so what might be okay to one person might be completely horrendously wrong to somebody else. So therefore, we kind of have to take this and kind of run with it for a little bit, and we'll go into some additional things that occurred in some cases that that actually went through the legal system that kind of give us the model that we have today. Now, the first case that I'll kind of bring up was one that happened in the state of Georgia in regards to a quote, actually not necessarily the outcome, but necessarily kind of the quote that that the actual judge was noted for. And then this was Jack versus Ohio, and Mr. Justice Stewart stated that the obscene material was perhaps he could never succeed in actually intelligibly notating what it would be or describing what it would be, but he would definitely know it when he would see it. So and that idea is I'm not sure. It's kind of one of those things. Is like I'm not sure what I'm looking for, but as soon as I find it, I'll know when it's there. So that was kind of one of the first things that that I wanted to touch up on, because this case was brought up for the fact that the defendant had pornographic material, and it was he was found in violation of the state's legal code, and he was sat out for for legal repercussions. Now, in this event, he was found not guilty for the fact that it was just pornographic material, and the court actually described that he has a right to satisfy emotional needs in the privacy of his own house. Now, down the road, a couple years later, there were actually a while later, the first course was the first case was in 1969. Later in 1990, they depicted that that law did not apply, or that interpretation did not apply in the case of child pornography. So that's where we have the definition, or the difference from both of those two. And now going on the road, we have Marvin Miller. Now, Marvin Miller is responsible, or in parts responsible, for the Miller test, which is something that we use now to depict what actually is or is not considered obscene content. Now, kind of going along these lines of what obscene content is, it does touch up on indecency. Now, indecency is something kind of completely its own topic, but there is a fine line between indecency and obscenity. Now, indecency can be seen as a wardrobe malfunction, kind of Super Bowl commercial, where it kind of has a little bit of a shock value, but it's everybody kind of doesn't lose their mind by it. Obscenity is definitely something that that you wouldn't feel comfortable sharing to anybody else, or you're actually uncomfortable viewing it yourself. There are plenty of videos out there. Two Girls One Cup is probably one of the most common examples to be used for something along those lines. There are plenty others. I'm sure you can look them up in your spare time and get an idea. But that's kind of the difference between the two. Now, going back to Marvin Miller, he was an owner-operator of a California mail order business. Now, essentially, he specialized in erotica, so like sex content from both a text and a video platform. And now, through a marketing move that he provided, he sent out some brochures to different locations. 5 of these brochures made it to a restaurant owner in Newport Beach, California, who opened the contents of the package with his mom nearby. Now, his mother opened up the package. No, he opened up the package. His mother, saw some explicit images in those brochures. They both call the police, and soon after that, we have Miller versus the state of California. And essentially, what was going on? The state of California was coming after Marvin Miller for having violated its penal code in regards to the distribution of obscene content. it kind of went through its motions, and he was actually found guilty, to which he felt that that wasn't the correct decision, so he began an appeals process. Now the appeal process was a little bit difficult for him because it kept getting denied. Nobody wanted to review it or anything along those lines, and ultimately ended up going all the way to the Supreme Court, which Marvin Miller had stated that the state of California, based on the judge's decision to inform them to use California standards to kind of come up with a verdict. Um, Said that was unfair because there was a case previously, which was Memoirs versus Massachusetts, which described obscene content as utterly without redeeming social value, meaning that it does not have a place in society. There's nothing that you can kind of get from it, and therefore, is the reason why it's considered obscene. So after this, the judge kind of came through, and they came across what's called the Miller test, which is actually kind of the result of the Miller trial in regards to what might be considered obscene content. Now it is a three-part test, so they kind of gave a little bit more of a gap between being right on the line of obscenity and then being right on the line of decency, and crossing those lines on both ends. Now, the first part of the Miller test is whether the average person applying contemporary community standards, meaning just yourself or your neighbor or something along those lines, would find the work taken as a whole, everything that you're looking at, as appealing to a pre interest. Meaning that if I pick something up, would I be intrigued by it, or would I be kind of curious as far as to know what it is or what it's kind of depicting, and would my neighbor do the same thing? The next part of the Miller test would be if it describes or depicts patently offensive conduct, sexual conduct, or any excretory functions. So kind of going back over to the video I mentioned, that's where that would be considered obscene. And then also if it's specifically defined by state laws. So although we have a general kind of concept of what obscenity is, every state will have their own interpretation of the law, and they will continue doing so forth as well. And lastly, whether the content has what's called slaps. Now slaps is kind of like it gives it the kind of different values as far as what it can be considered. So does it have like serious literary value? Is it artistic, political in nature, or does it provide some type of scientific value? If it kind of comes up in any of these lines, then we're looking at something that'll be okay to have. Things like 50 Shades of Grey, those types of books. It's they see it as has artistic value, so that's where it's considered okay to be distributed. Now, in addition to this, obscene material is never allowed to be distributed, at least through general standards. So the FCC, and the Federal Communications Commission, has actually taken a kind of a step as far as describing what it finds acceptable, and it uses the Miller test, just like everything else. And now, indecency and profane material, or indecent and profane material, are still okay through a specific time frame, which they call a safe harbor, which is actually from 10 p.m. at night to 6 a.m. in the morning. This material is okay to be seen. Now, there is some additional kind of expansion on this as for the fact that cable television has a little bit more of a leeway for the fact that you're actually paying for a service. So it's kind of one of those things you're kind of signing up for. But regardless of whichever route you go, obscene content doesn't have a place in either of those broadcasts, and is actually subject to legal action if anybody goes through that. Now, there is no constitutional cover for anybody using obscene material, or verbally depicting obscene material through speech or something along those lines. So it's not protected by the First Amendment. You can't make an obscene comment or something along those lines and be protected by freedom of speech. So there's definitely something to be aware of as well. So ultimately, we have established, what obscenity is, what indecency, kind of like at least got an idea of kind of like what indecency is as well, and can see that there's a very fine line between both of these topics. But ultimately, with obscenity, is there's no, at least for the depiction of it, it is legal, so you can distribute it, you can share it to you can share it to to someone, and if they get offended, they go after seek legal action against you. It's not okay for you to be like, oh, I thought it was funny, so they should have thought it was okay as well. It's definitely something that that you need to be careful about, especially in a course like this, where it's discussing sensitive topics and things along those lines. So obscene content, regardless of the location or where it's at, it is legal to have. It is legal to distribute. And like I said, if you're ever in question, you can kind of go through the Miller test and see, hey, does it fit this criteria? Does it not? And then you kind of go from there. But at least now you have a little bit better understanding of what you're expecting when you're gonna be seeing obscene material, if you ever do come across it, or if the conversation ever comes up as far as what obscenity is, you have a little bit more ammunition as far as to describe it and to to have a more deeper understanding of the concept and such. And like I said, in separation to this, like I said, indecency is something that kind of goes very very closely with obscenity. But ultimately, there does have a fine line to where it separates it. One can get you in jail, and then the other one can just get you a slap on the wrist. So have a good day.